It is 9 a.m. We are in the Commissioner's Courtroom in the Aransas County Courthouse, and I call this regular meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the invocation.
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we gather here today asking for and seeking your guidance and wisdom. We ask that you grant our Commissioners Court the clarity of mind and unity of purpose as they make decisions to better our community. May your spirit of justice and compassion and integrity lead these discussions and actions today. Bless their efforts and help them serve with humility and grace. In Jesus' sweet name we pray, amen.
Amen. Please join me with the pledges. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I, the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Here.
Commissioner Casterline.
Here.
Commissioner Russo, here. Commissioner Dupnick.
Here.
Judge Garza.
Here. At this time, do we have anybody signed up for citizens to be heard? Nobody signed up. Section 6, presentations and proclamations. We have a presentation on the June 2024 Aransas Pathways Strategic Plan Update. Mr. Connell. Morning.
Good morning. It is my honor and pleasure to appear before you this morning to update the court on the Aransas Pathway Steering Committee recent activities and initiatives. With the steering committee being comprised of a few old hands and a fresh influx of new talent, it has been an exciting time to be involved with the committee and its efforts. The primary activities of the steering committee have been centered on three main facets over the past 6 months: orientation and getting to know each other. The court has assembled a strong team of dedicated individuals with a wealth of knowledge and a can-do attitude on the committee. The committee is building upon this strong foundation that has been anchored in place since the inception of Pathways. Committee members are finding their voice and are ready to play a key role in fostering community engagement and promoting outdoor and recreational activities in Aransas County. Second, evaluation and assessment of current pathway sites. Review of current sites and activities. Are the sites functional and accessible? Are they safe and clean for end users, open to all, as well as being sustainable and user-friendly? What improvements and enhancements can be made to improve the access and remain sustainable for the long run? Can they be multi-purpose? Third, community engagement. How do we best spread the word on what Pathways is all about with the overarching goal of community engagement and increasing tourism? Social, print, and digital messaging is under review for improvement and repositioning to maintain a strong tourism focus and community engagement. The Pathways first half strategic plan of 2024 has been provided to you for your knowledge and review, and while it is a condensed version, much effort and thought is reflected in the document. I am available to answer any questions that you might have, but I would be most remiss did I not take a moment to thank Commissioner Rozo for her leadership and guidance, along with Renee Butler for her knowledge and expertise in leading the ongoing effort in site management. Also, thanks is in order for the newest member of the team, Melissa, who will have a very bright future and coordinate all the various pathway activities. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you. Got any questions?
I have no questions, but I will say that Rich is doing a tremendous job as the chair. And what he said about renewed excitement and engagement is certainly true. I'm looking forward to all of the proposals and the changes that we're looking to make, and I thank you for your leadership. I move to accept the presentation on the June 2024 Aransas Pathways Strategic Plan Update.
Second.
It's an action
It's
item.
not an
Good
action,
night,
item,
Adam.
Okay,
but
And we'll
appreciate it,
just-
sir. Thank
Thank
you. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All right,
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
aye, passes 5-0. County reports and resolutions.
Move to approve the second quarter 2024 report for the Friends of Fulton Mansion.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion and a second. And Ms. Hill. Morning, ladies.
Good morning. I am very pleased to introduce to you the site manager of the Fulton Mansion this morning.
Also known as the luckiest girl in Rockport Fulton.
Oh, nice. Nice.
This is Barbara Judkins. And so she hasn't been able to be here at our previous, but she's here today. I'm so glad to have her. So she's here to answer any questions that you might have and to add anything that I may have here on our presentation. So we'll move to our next slide. So this is our second quarter report. I'm going to report on the expenses, our total visitors and heads to beds, what we've done with promotion of the arts, historic restoration and advertising. So our advertising expenses for that second quarter was $8,022. Promotion of the arts, we spent $4,367. And of course, Barbara's here to talk about any of these things that we are expending money for. Also for historic restoration, $10,798. Our tour guides, $2,650. And by the way, that ends at the end of August. We're terminating that. So in just another week or so, that will end. So our total was $25,837 for that quarter. Our total visitors for the second quarter was 3,704, and our beds to heads, 1,729. Oh, and just to kind of give you a recap of our beds to heads, our first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, of course, you expect the summer to be higher. So a total of 3,347 people for the first, second, and third quarter. Our promotion of the arts, we had music at the mansion. I hope some of you were, or all of you were there. We had 300 people who attended. It was really beautiful. We did it on April 9th, May 11th, and June 11th. And then we have offered Second Saturdays, which is a free craft event that our educators put on. And that, was very successful. And then our children's toys exhibit in the parlor, and that was on June 21st. And now that we're fully staffed, we will be having a lot more events. This is just some pictures. That's a picture of one of the, thank you. Thank you, Music at the Mansion. And then also at the Music at the Mansion, we had some crafts there. And that's Pam Black, our previous president of the Friends of. You all may know her and remember her. And then that was one of the little dolls from the historic or from the Victorian era and some of the crafts for children. So our promotion of the arts, we had destination weddings that we're promoting for the fall. Summer, it's pretty hot so typically it's spring and fall. We're continue to upgrade the working kitchen. Harriet's Garden, we have plans for replanting that. We've been talking about a butterfly garden and wildflowers. That draws photographers. They love that. And maybe we'll help beautify out on the front lawn, kind of over to the side. So that's in talks. We are going to be hosting Arbor Day. We're working with Stacy Steckler. No, Shelley Steckler. So that we're going to host it this year, and we may host it every year after that. We're proud to do that. And we planted trees there last year, and we'll be doing that again. And then our Victorian Christmas, and we're going to be returning our caroling, which was very popular. And there's the stove that your funds have purchased. It was installed and it's an actual working stove. Barbara's been talking about potentially having actual cooking demonstrations in the future. So it's really beautiful, and I would encourage you to come out and see it again. We would love to host you guys, give you a personalized tour. The tactics that we're using to promote the Fulton Mansion with our advertising. They use demographics. We're using, to remind you, we're using the same firm that it's HTM in San Antonio. It's the same company that in the city. Thank you. The Chamber of Commerce uses. So they looked at Gen Xers and baby boomers is what they felt were the biggest draw to San Antonio or to Rockport. And also they come from San Antonio. That's the largest number. And that they have an interest in it's a travel buff, vacation planners, history buffs. Also, they're using mobile geotactics. It's targeting people based on the location, where they're at in real time, and the places that they have visited. We
I think
also
that firm's
use,
Helen Thompson, isn't it?
yes,
Okay.
yes, it is. And we're also using Texas Public Radio. That's a station in San Antonio. And then the static billboards in San Antonio and then near Waco. And then a radio ad. That's what our radio ad said. Down there in their bottom, I can read it if you'd like, but just basically visit Rockport and the Fulton Mansion. That's what the billboard looks like. So it's beautiful, really pretty. We had them add Rockport Fulton to it to make sure that they knew where it was. And that's what it looks like on the highway. So
I've seen it.
You have?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. It's really nice, really impressive. So that's the one Waco Temple, people driving south. And then the next one's San Antonio. And then another one in San Antonio. They couldn't, so they swapped one out, one part of the town for part of the time and another part of the town. And then our advertising ends in August. And that's typically the way it's been done by the Chamber of Commerce, is just the May through the summertime when we get the most visitors. So this geo-targeting, I've had to learn a lot about that. They use Facebook and Instagram and Tour Texas or e-newsletter. And so the ad was viewed, this is on social media, more than 500,000 times in May with 570 clicks. And then in June, it's like 657,000 with 617 clicks. So people are seeing it. And so we get reports from Helen Thompson to confirm, how those dollars are, or how we're getting the use of that back. So our advertising benefits everyone in Rockport Fulton. It contributes to our local economy and our reputation of being a family-friendly, interesting place to visit with lots to do. So they get here and they see the mansion and they see there are lots of other things like we've got history, museums, sites of interest, motels, restaurants, shops, and other businesses that benefit. So again, I want to thank you, the Judge Garza and the commissioners. And we have a standing open invitation to visit us. So we would love to have you come, especially to see our new stove. So Barbara, do you have any?
Where were you before you came to Fulton Mansion?
I was in East Texas managing Star Family Homestead Historic Site in Marshall, and I actually still manage that site. So I have two sites 400 miles apart.
Mhm.
The state does
Nice.
provide a vehicle and pay for the gas. So they don't pay for my snacks though, but
Well, welcome.
thank you
Yep,
very much.
welcome.
You guys come see us.
So did the mansion have a stove like that in it at some point?
It did.
It-
It did initially when George and Harriet built it. I'm not being ugly. That's the only way they got hot food. But it did. It had a working kitchen down in the basement. My goal is to make that a working kitchen again, to do historic foodways in the kitchen. That's one of the reasons we made when we ordered the stove, it was already restored, but they did a little extra restoration on it so it could be a working stove. I talked to a guy yesterday and he knows a guy that can run cameras up our chimneys, because over the over the decades with the hurricane damage, especially during Harvey. Those chimneys did get knocked over. So we're going to be very methodical and follow a lot of guidelines, but we're hoping we can run some special piping up the chimney to make it safe enough for us to fire that stove and have a food waste demonstrations. And we are working on making the kitchen fluffier. It looks rather static right now, and rather disappointing when you've been in the main part of the house. So we are working on making that a little more interesting.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you very
Excited.
much.
If you're the luckiest girl, I guess that makes my wife the second luckiest here.
We can meet in a dark alley and discuss.
All right.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Aye. Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 7.
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign various lease agreements for the Live Oak Plaza Shopping Center for relocation of various elected and appointed county officers.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Cover letter has all the pricing. Do y'all have any questions?
I did, just for public information, how do these numbers we're gonna be paying for lease compare to what we're paying to be in the building we're currently in?
We are currently paying $20,000 a month in rent.
I think technically all of the 5 leases combined would be less.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I wanted to get that out, make sure people understand that, because there's question about us moving in all these buildings, but right now it's actually gonna be less than what we're paying
Currently, yes.
at this time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, a good couple of thousand less.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Aye. Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. Item number 8.
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign a lease for the Harbor Oak Shopping Center for the relocation of various elected and appointed county officers.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Same deal.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Aye. Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. And thank you, Adela, for taking care of these. Yeah, appreciate it. Item number 9.
I move to approve awarding a contract for compensation study to Evergreen Solutions LLC and authorize the county judge to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Morning.
Good
Desiree.
morning. So after additional extensive reference checks and discussions, the committees decided to award the second highest scoring company for the compensation study, which would be Evergreen Solutions.
And why did you decide the second?
Why did we decide the second?
Yeah.
So the top scoring company, we had some issues the first time we came around, so we did additional reference checks. And with those reference checks, the second highest scoring company was
Okay.
chosen.
Good. So whenever we look at stuff like that, we look at just more than money. We look at the results too.
Performance.
Yes, and
Well,
actually
yeah.
this one is the cheapest.
Good deal.
Yes, so.
And Desiree and I had an opportunity to visit with the HR director at San Pat Thursday when we were at some risk management training, and have asked if we could get a copy of their salary study that was also done by Evergreen.
Yes, and we
Which
do have,
will, I mean, we'll still want to do one of our own, but it will just give us some ideas maybe of how to configure ours.
yes, and we do have the compensation study from Aransas pass, and Evergreen did theirs as well.
And then they also told us some things to be sure we made mandatory, I guess.
Yes,
So what is the cost of it?
I believe 34,500.
What's the time frame? How long do they think it'll take?
Oh, how long will it?
How long that
Oh.
study can,
I think 6 weeks. I can't
6
remember
weeks?
exactly.
okay.
Well,
It's
this,
not
I
gonna be
was
like
thinking
4
6
months.
Do you remember? Oh, 120 days.
so will this start in this budget year or the next budget year?
It'll start the next budget year.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
But it'll be in this year's budget for the cost.
So what month will it start in? in January or?
26, January 2026.
For 2025?
Is it going to be that quickly? I thought we were going to look at the results and then put it into effect for 2026. Because we're already in August
I
of.
think the question
24.
is, when is the company going to do the study?
Yeah.
Oh, as soon as possible, but the results I was thinking would be for 2026.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellane,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Number 10.
I move to approve the grant management plan for Aransas County's local hazard mitigation grant plan program application to the Texas General Land Office.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Morning.
Good morning. The grant management plan before you is a pretty standard template for CDBG MIT grants funded through the GLO. The last page has county-specific information for management of the grant. I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
I had a question on page 2 where it talks, it's under item 4, project implementation, including financial management. B under there says establish and maintain a bank account or a separate local bank account. And I realize we've had these agreements in the past, but is this done in coordination with the treasurer's office or the auditor's office?
With the auditor's office, but this is also a as necessary. So if this was it's for all the planning grants.
Mhm.
And so if it is something that's necessary for this planning grant, then that would be coordinated through the auditor's office.
And then on page 4, under F, where it says identify and designate a local labor standards officer. Would that be someone who works for the county or would that be somebody who works for the grant administration firm?
That would be someone who works for the county.
So probably our HR department.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To hear.
Thank you.
And then conduct pre-construction conference and prepare minutes. Who handles that?
We won't be having pre-construction meetings for this grant. It is included with the template, but for this is a planning project.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellane,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Just a minute. Question.
Did the county auditor have something to say?
Well, I was gonna say that if we do have to do a separate bank account, it would be in conjunction with the treasurers as they do set up those accounts. We do record them in our funds separately, so we would track it separately, even if we do have it in our operating account or in our capital. Also, the labor standards, normally if there's a grant manager on those, they have a labor standards board that they do that. But, I know this is a small one, but my understanding is this may be something that we have with all grants. It's not just for this grant, so.
Right, my understanding was this was to.
It's a grant, it's a plan for all grants, and we do, we would be working with the management on it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Castellane,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 11.
I move to draw names and to select and announce members of the Salary Grievance Committee, including alternate members as required under section 152.014 of the local government code.
I'll second that.
All right. So we have an elected official that submitted a salary grievance. And in following the rules, we have to select names of, help me out.
The public members of the Salary Grievance Committee,
And they were
Are there?
people who served on,
2023 grand jury.
so we got all the names in this box. I'm gonna draw all of them randomly and we're gonna number them 1 through 27. And that's a number where we need 3, right? And so
We have to have 3 at the grievance committee meeting, or it's a defunct meeting and it might delay us passing our budget.
all right. So, first name. Stephanie Boots. Second name, Janet James. Third, Sandy Swanson. Fourth, Denise Eichelman. Eichelman? I lost what count I was on.
That was 4.
That was 4, all right. 5, Donald Eddings. 6, Kelly Randall. 7, Gracie Castillo. 8, Rex Boyd. 9 is Vesta Willie. 10 is Kimberly Ward. 11, Regina Oliver. 12, Tammy James. 13, Ralph Manning. 14, Terrence Fisher. 15, Chess Hill. 16, Alice Polson. 17, Aaron Patton. 18, Stephen Lewis. 19, Brad Reininger. 20, Ken Marks. 20. Was it?
Mhm.
Okay. 21, Vera Freedom. 22, Amanda Armenia. 23, David Dillard. 24, William McKay. 25, Claudia Ortiz. 26, Lee Green. 27, Michael Murphy. And number 28, Adeline Cuesta. Adeline Cuesta, 28. All names. Okay, so this is an action item. All right.
Commissioner Cheney?
We vote on this or just select?
We do.
Okay.
Okay, aye.
Commissioner Casterline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 12. Oop. Okay,
I move to approve adopting the list of public members' names and alternates for the Salary Grievance Committee in accordance with section 152.015 of the local government code.
Second.
got a motion and a second.
Commissioner Cheney?
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 13.
I move to discuss and set the public hearing for the salary grievance for Friday, August 23rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioner's courtroom.
I'll
I'll second
second
that.
that.
All right.
And
Motion
the
is-
courtroom's available, Tracy?
Commissioner Cheney?
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 14.
Move to approve adding a temporary kennel technician position.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Morning, Desiree.
Good morning again. So there is a temporary, there was a temporary position and it's been filled by the new public coordinator for that facility. So we're wanting to add a new temporary position, but it's only going to cover the hours that the part-timers don't work. So it's not adding money to the budget. They're just working existing hours,
I'm sorry, they're just working.
existing hours that aren't being used.
Okay.
So just like a call in, safety net.
Yes.
And
Commissioner-
Caitlin wasn't feeling well, so that's why she's not here presenting.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casserly,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 15.
Move to approve budget line items.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casserly,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 16.
Move to approve accounts payable and payroll liabilities.
I'll second it.
A motion is second.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casserly,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. At this time, we'll hear reports from commissioners, elected officials, and department heads, and no action will be taken.
I want to thank Road and Bridge for working with the state on the crossovers on 1069, where we're adding the drainage across there. I think that's going to make a huge difference. That is a narrow road and that is a busy road. But TxDOT handled that very well, or the contractor handled that very well. And it looks like they're pretty close to being done. They jumped on that and got it done. I was really impressed. What size culverts are those? Okay. All right.
Anybody else got anything? Yes, ma'am, Madam Treasurer.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Mr. Engel with the Live Oak Shopping Center is here. He asked, he raised his hand, but you didn't see him. If anybody had any questions.
Sorry, say again.
A question, during the leases portion? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I thought you looked familiar. I was like, I know this guy. Do y'all have any questions about the leases?
No.
Okay.
Just get moved and get it done.
Yep.
Yeah. When's the earliest move in? Next week, today, or yesterday?
We're still working on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you
working
for
with the
working with
county.
the county.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for working with the county on this.
Judge, you got anything back there? Yes, sir. Y'all good? All right. Anna, I know you got something. Not today, okay.
Yeah, by the look on.
All right, we're gonna move on to reports about community items of community interest. No action will be taken. Desiree, you got anything? No? All right. Do we need to go into closed session, Adela? Okay, sounds good. Well, I entertain a
And move
motion.
to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casserly,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, thank you very much. Yep, we'll take a break and then we'll start another budget workshop. Thank you, Butch. It's good meeting you. All right, what time is it?
9:50.
It is 9:50. It is 19th day of August, 2024, and we are in the Commissioners Courtroom at the Aransas County Courthouse, and I call this workshop in session to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Here.
Commissioner Casterline,
Here.
Commissioner Russo. Here. Commissioner Dupnick.
Here.
Judge Garza.
All right, we've got a full quorum here. General discussions for 2025 budget. I'm gonna start by, we're still working on this. We're still trying to make cuts, save money, and all the good things that we should be doing. And I wanted to bring up a couple of new positions that were proposed in this budget. And the only new positions that were proposed were in facilities and environmental health. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've already spoke to Renee and I told her that I was gonna take one position away and it was help me out, maintenance tech. Does anybody have any objections?
I do.
Okay.
And I visited with you right before we came into court this morning. I think with the new addition of space and the community center, and also the fact that we will have for a while offices spread around the county, and we don't know how long that's going to last, that another maintenance tech would be a good idea, and that position could be split with pathways so that the general fund could pay for a portion of it and pathways could pay for a portion of it too. Because the facilities department picks up the maintenance and cleaning for the pathway sites, which are in better shape than they've been for several years. Also, I was here many years ago before Renee was the director of that department, and we had, I believe, 3 custodians and the director of the department. And other than maybe mopping from time to time, anything that was done of a maintenance or repair nature was paid for through outside contractors. It was extremely expensive. It was thousands and thousands of dollars. That has changed for the good. Also, Pathways used to hire outside contractors for mowing, for weeding. And that was not monitored at all. And that was another issue of thousands and thousands of dollars, which I think is one of the reasons that Pathways was placed under public facilities, which has been a good change. So I would say that we leave that position in the budget for 2025.
All
I
right,
would agree.
sounds good. All right, so we'll keep that in there. The next position I was not going to present to the court to approve would be environmental health. They asked for another position, I think to help Bob Doan out as the food inspector, health inspector. And I know Bob's kind of not worn thin, but there's a lot of work out there. But I think once Anthony gets his food handler certification, or not food handler, whatever it is, the inspector, that he could help Bob out. But I'm inclined not to approve that one. Y'all have any objections?
I think we need to bring up that they're getting to be many more food handlers and restaurant inspections and than what there had been in the past. I was kind of curious
But how many?
if the fee schedule can be altered from what it is, because it didn't sound like it got very much for doing these
Yeah, well, he didn't tell us how much more work there is, and he didn't tell us what the how much the fees are covering.
I think we ought to leave that there, but not fill it until we have a good feel that it's absolutely necessary. I mean, just because we have a position doesn't mean we got to fill it right now.
Right. We
And
still got a
so
budget for it.
I think we need to probably set some ideas of where we're going to be. We need to at least know where we are right now. So we need to have a report or workshop or something on what the county is doing in all the food establishments.
Right. All right. Keep it in there.
Keep it in.
Yeah.
Could we ask Anthony to bring a report
Yeah.
to our next week's meeting
That
with that, and we
probably-
could make a determination then. We're
We
gonna
probably
keep
ought
it
to
or
keep
eliminate
that
it.
as at least once a month of a report of what's been going on. Because the environmental issue has for a long time been overlooked as far as in bringing it into public courts and stuff. But I think it's one of the things that really gets people here. You know, they come here for the restaurants and stuff. So we got to make sure that we have clean restaurants, clean facilities and everything to the extent that we need to have a public report for the record of how many, you know, kitchen cops type thing.
Right.
I don't think you necessarily need to embarrass anybody, but I think that it's certainly very important that we know who is doing a good deal and who is not paying any attention to us.
So do we have a legal obligation to do it for the cities?
The cities.
We do have an interlocal with the city.
I'm saying, do we have a legal obligation to do it? I think that's.
Without an
I
interlocal, I
think
would
that's
say
something
no.
to look at that we, you know. If it's costing us money to do it, 'cause like I say, I was told some rates at what time and they didn't sound like much.
Right. Well, the answer is almost like a trick answer. If there's an interlocal agreement, yes, there is a legal obligation because we
Well-
signed some. But if there's a statutory one, which is your question, I can certainly find out and
That's
let you know.
the question I understand about that.
Right away. We can also maybe review the interlocal agreement to see if that includes payment that we might not.
Yeah, and maybe.
Be receiving.
Look at that in the statute to see if there's a set fee that you can charge or have to charge.
With the city of Rockport, we do not have an additional fee. It is only what the fee for the inspections that the establishments pay. Fulton, there is a little bit of a payment as well as the establishment fees. But the city of Rockport doesn't have anything at this time.
And
All we get is what the establishments have to pay for their inspections.
not only just the food handling, but we need to look as a court at our interlocal agreements. You know, as they either come up or whatever, so that, because I don't know that we've looked at very, very few of those. We got a lot of interlocal agreements.
We do, sir, and part of the issue was back in 2015, 14 or 15, they wrote the interlocals with it being a continuing until it changed or was.
Yeah, and a lot of the interlocals.
But
yeah.
they're just continuous, so there hasn't been any change. They all do need to be reviewed. Yes, sir.
So I think that's something we ought to start doing, you know, at least on a quarterly basis, or maybe even first meeting of the month.
Yeah.
To look at.
I agree.
Until we've looked through all of them. Y'all have any problem with that?
I don't think we need to do that. I think that's what we have an attorney for.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about the legality of it, but what is it for? You know, I mean, why are we?
We have a lot of interlocals, but they do all need to be looked at and updated.
All right. Those are two things I had. Commissioner, you got any, or did you have anything?
I have a couple.
Okay.
And I'm glad that the tax assessor is here. I had checked with the gentleman who is the chair of the appraisal board, just to get an idea of what they were looking at as far as their budget was concerned. And then what our share of it would be. I don't know that they've met yet and voted on that. Do you know if they have?
Yeah.
Okay, but what I was given ranges from about 300,000 that would be the share for the county to pay for next year. Anyway, ranging from 300,000 to 350,000. And we're allocating 457,000 that we think will be our share. So I just want to mention that may be significantly coming down by $100,000, which would be a nice direction to go. Do you know when they're going to approve that?
I have not heard yet until
Is it September?
September. We have not had a meeting last week, and it wasn't even on that.
Okay. And then I have a question, and the sheriff is here. For the detention center, under 462 inmate prescriptions, and I'm glad the treasurer is here too. The treasurer's office has been talking about working with the jail administrator, finding a supplier for prescriptions that'll lower the cost. I think they've been successful the last several months. As I look at the indigent reports anyway. So I'm on page 46 if anybody cares. Anyway, year to date, and this is through the end of July, right? This most recent budget that we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with 7 months of the year gone, we're at $3,700 that we spent on inmate prescriptions, but we're budgeting for 22,000 for this year, and then again 22,000 for next year. So I guess I'm looking from some guidance if maybe that could be reduced by $5,000 or $10,000.
I think in the past, though, the problem is if they get an inmate that is real sick and has some expensive, I mean, you don't know who they're gonna get in jail, and in the past, they've had some that had really expensive medication that they had to do. I mean,
Okay.
I guess you could come again and amend the budget if you didn't do it, but if you didn't get it, but
Also, commissioners, what we do with that is we record it in there so that we can record actual costs for the jail. But healthcare sales tax does reimburse general fund for those prescriptions.
Okay. I just like to have numbers that are as realistic as possible, but okay.
Got them on my desk.
Um. Under the flood control fund, I'm on page 74. For ad valorem taxes, we're looking at a substantial decrease in what we're proposing. Could you explain that?
Yes.
Auditor's office, not you, Daryl. Don't be worried yet. Don't be worried. I might get to you later.
The number that's in there that we've got for this year includes the debt service.
Okay, when you say this year, do you mean 2024?
2024.
Okay.
So the 2025 is actual, the M&O portion of it. Actually, we also have reallocated more of it to the road and bridge because they have had a deficit. So while flood was building up a reserve, road and bridge was having a deficit. So we have allocated more funds to that.
and when flood was created, there was actually no new tax created. The tax was taken from
Right.
that time road and bridge fund. So
Yes.
Okay. And right now, on page 140, the Indigent Healthcare Fund, 520, we're not showing any transfer from indigent healthcare over to the healthcare sales tax like we did last year. Is that correct? We're not anticipating making any?
Correct.
Yes.
And are we going to look at making an adjustment in what okay, sorry, I'm on page 143, the healthcare sales tax fund. So we'd had some discussion up here about the ambulance service. They came in and said they'd really like to get $1 million, which we were all like, okay, don't think that's going to happen. But I do think, and I visited a little bit with Commissioner Casterline, that he had requested or was thinking of requesting more information from them on what would be perhaps a different ask rather than $1 million. Is that being done, or are we just gonna leave it at 300,000 and get on down the road?
Well, we had originally, when you talked, we're talking about putting an extra 150, so it would be 450.
Right.
Now, when we got to looking at this, we currently, our interlocal with our agreement with them is that we pay $130,000 a year. So we did increase it last year, but there has been no change in the agreement. We anticipated that change and budgeted for it, but it never has been done. So if you want to go up
Okay.
to 450, that's putting an extra $300,000 in there.
No, I don't then.
From 2 years
So
ago.
if we leave the 300 in there, then we're still doubling what they.
Okay, no, I'm good with that.
When does the contract run out?
It's another one of those that's just continuous until you
Till they say they want.
terminate or they want more money. And I know at one point we were negotiating with the city and Fulton on it, but that was last year and it had never went anywhere that I know of.
That $1 million that they came to us about potentially for a new unit and
Mhm.
staff, that actually is a total cost for all the entities. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
So it
divided.
would be divided between us. So that theoretically, maybe that 300 would be closer to our part if it came to that.
Mhm.
But I'm fine leaving, because I'd made a note that we were gonna bump it up to 450, so then.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
we
And
can leave it at
that's the
300.
reason that we looked at it and thought, well, we're already have it in there anticipating the change, doubling it. So it's up to y'all if y'all wanted more.
So you.
I told-
I don't think you need.
I told Stephanie we're gonna up at 150. Well, propose. Up in it.
Well, then that includes, that would go up to the 300,000. Honestly, because we currently pay 130.
Oh.
So if we increase it by 150, then you're looking at 280.
Okay.
So we would be fine with the
Yeah,
300.
they were talking about putting the other unit because of they're having more and more lag time that
Right.
Yeah.
the units are en route and
Mhm.
we're short here, so, but they've never come back with anything else.
I have one more, and then I'm done. Okay, page 192, the Training Academy Fund, and I really don't know anything about this, but I saw in 2018, we had revenue of over 25,000, and I don't know if that was something because of Harvey or what caused that.
That was a grant that we received for the Stop the Bleed,
Oh,
those
okay.
packets that we got that are distributed
Say
around.
Castaways came up with the
Yes.
money for that, so it flowed through there.
Okay. So that's why now we just show $100.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I do have one thing, another one. So nobody likes change. Change is hard to get used to. I was gonna say another word, but so in the past, the contract specialist, before I took office, who did that job? Because it's a new job.
In the past, everyone administered their own contracts and commissioners were asking, why are we waiting till the last minute? Why is something happening, just like our interlocals that haven't been reviewed in 5, 6, 7 years. Some of it was done in the attorney's office. Carrie did a lot of stuff, but each office administered their own contracts. So we proposed at that time to bring someone into the auditor's office that would do the administration of the contracts because we just don't have time for that also. At the same time, we decided that the procurement could fall under that because of just the workload as much as anything else. But it had been in our office. Once we did that, then suggested because of contracts and stuff, maybe go into to the attorney's office.
And that's just my point that I was trying to make is because I was attending these meetings before I took office and I remember the talks about this contract specialist. And I remember all these agreements that was going to be their job to get all these agreements up to date, updated. And I've been in office a year and a half And I think we're still in the same place we were a year and a half ago. So I was going to propose the Commissioners Court to put that specialist back under the auditor's office.
Judge, if I may, I mean, we're talking about budget also, I'd like to, I had a, I won't say prepared statement to ask concerning budget to bring to the court concerning that position. And I'd like to know if there'd be a improper time to do it now, if I could do that.
If you have something for the court, yeah,
I
by all
do,
means.
I had copies, I made copies for the commissioners, for the other commissioners, so you could read, have a copy of what I want to say, and also I only had one extra copy. If y'all wanted to pass that on, and I do have one extra copy, I probably should have had more. But I didn't, it was my own printer, and I was trying to keep it down to the minimum.
If we need more copies, we could get more copies. Do we need more copies?
I think it'd be maybe for the auditor and the county attorney.
There's an extra one here.
Or this,
Who you want to give it to?
Well, after you get done reading it, I
Okay.
can give it to somebody.
okay, and I understand this has been on my heart for a while. It's kind of touchy, because it affects personnel, but, I'll go ahead and read what I have here. And in the last 18 months, I've had the honor of representing precinct 4A of Aransas County citizens. And, in fact, all the citizens of the county are a member of this commissioner's court. I take this responsibility very seriously. Some of the business practices I've observed from my perspective during this time have caused me to question their value. In business, the practice of having employees who perform critical business functions that affect the daily operations of one business unit while direct reporting to a manager with no equity in that success has proven not to be the best business model. Knowing this and based on my perspective, I think this budget cycle is the best time to address what I've observed through a couple of position realignments. At the present time, both the assistant county attorney position and the contracts and procurement specialist to serve the needs of this commissioner's court and various county departments report directly to the county attorney. I've tried to find an answer to this question. Does a county attorney have an obligation to represent the commissioner's court and county departments in civil matters? I may be wrong in the matter of the assistant county attorney, but I have not been able to find a document that states the county attorney has an obligation to assist in legal matters. If this is correct, and the county attorney does not, this means the county attorney has a right to set priorities of the assistant county attorney and the contracts and procurement specialist and can direct their work without regard to the needs and priorities of the commissioner's court and the county departments. I do not believe this business practice is the most beneficial for the long-term needs of this county. I ask that the court discuss the future of these two positions and the associated 2025 budget dollars that are allotted to the county attorney's office. I ask that you please consider moving these two positions and the associated dollars to other departments. This would allow for the hiring of an attorney with a strict focus on the needs of commissioner's court and various county departments. Other Texas counties do hire attorneys solely focused on supporting the needs of commissioners' courts and county departments. The procurement specialist position could also be placed in an appropriate department. Also, please note that historically, the procurement specialist did work under the guidance of the county auditor's office until sometime after Hurricane Harvey, I believe. I understand this could be considered a drastic step. I think this could be a long-term positive step moving forward, and I ask the members of this body to consider this proposal, which would not be effective until the 2025 budget year. I understand it's a big, it could be big, something to consider. I understand it's about people, but I just think we need a more efficient system where the court and the county judge or whoever department heads may be can help set priorities to get things done.
I tend to agree with Bob.
Yeah, especially with the procurement specialist, that should be under the treasurer. I mean, it should be under the auditor, in my opinion. As to the attorney's positions, I don't really have a problem with the way it is, but also see what Commissioner Dubnik is talking about. You know, the county attorney's office is a multi-headed hydra. You know, it handles so many things. You know, you got the district judge here, the county attorney spends with that, and the other district judges and the county attorney. And the county attorney's job is just so broad. But yet, again, on the other side of that, we've had a really good assistant county attorney that has helped us walk through this complicated issue here. I see the sides of both of that. Hopefully, the walking through all this debris of insurances and everything is going to sometime go away, and we can look better at other things. But so I don't really have an opinion one way or the other on that. I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough, but I do think that the procurement office definitely, I wasn't in favor of it whenever it transferred. But I'm certainly not in favor of it now.
Yeah, I do want to clarify, this is no reflection on our assistant county attorney that helps this court right now. I've been trying to find out for the longest time. There's two things. One thing that got this going was when our county attorney said we could not have outside counsel or another counsel to us without opening us up to liability. Well, the information I have is that we can have other counsel as commissioner's court. The other thing is, when I was trying to find out, I've been trying to find out, and it's hard, I'm finding out how hard it is to do things when we're not supposed to have quorums. We're not supposed to do this. We can't do this. You can't really have discussion. So I'm sorry to bring it up in this way, but I've been trying to find out if the commissioners, if the county attorney really has an obligation. And the best I could only find is that there are only, I think maybe 5 or 6 counties in the state, which by state statute, they've been directed, they have to support commissioner's court. So when you look at it, everything I've been able to find, and I may be wrong, I would love to find out more about this, but everything I can see is the county attorney basically offers advice as professional courtesy or as help, but they don't have to necessarily provide support to commissioner's court. And the other thing is, in business, if you can't set your priorities for the people working for you, or people that you have needs for, that becomes an issue. And I think we really need to take a look at this. And like I say, it's basically a budget time. It's the only time to really discuss it, because we're looking at our future budget, which is now, we're looking at a little over 3 months away as far as our budget, or 4 months away, actually. So that's why I thought it'd be the time to bring it up right now.
I can speak a little bit to that, Commissioner. Part of the job that goes to the county attorney in the Texas Constitution is the one that assigns the county attorney to offer opinions written to the county commissioner's court when they ask. I think it is the practice of Aransas County that the civil attorney has been assigned, for lack of a better word, to assist the commissioner's court. Every attorney in our office is assigned somewhere: municipal court, county court at law, district court, felonies. And so I think that's our practice here. I cannot speak as to, as far as the priorities. There sure are a lot of things that come through my office in particular. And they all seem to be big and immediate.
Everything you handle is important. I understand that. Everything that comes across an attorney's desk is important, and it takes time to investigate and to, delve into it. I understand that totally.
Sure. As far as the hiring of outside counsel, obviously it's allowable because we have outside counsel on the RPA cases. But for those specifically, every hiring, the Constitution, it's Article 5, Section 21, I think, that says that the county attorney shall bring and defend all suits brought in the name of or against the county. So the county attorney has the sole authority to delegate work outside of the county attorney's office. Now, obviously, we come into some kind of a a balancing act because the county attorney is the one to hire. But obviously the commissioner's court is the one to pay. So I believe there's something
Yeah.
to be said there, but at all times, the decision for hiring and assigning particular work rests on the shoulders of the county attorney as part of her statutory duties.
And I'm
as-
basically talking about contracts, things of that manner.
Correct. And as far as Eric's, the contract specialist, procurement specialist, I was not here at the time that job was created. I think at one time it was discussed being under the auditor's office,
It
but,
was under the auditor's office.
but
When it was
somehow that
created, but
changed.
not whenever he was hired. It was transferred into my
Correct.
office before anyone was ever hired in that position. And I would like to say, someone should have asked me to come before you started this discussion, since it's about my employees.
I'm sorry.
Someone should have really asked me to come join the meeting before you started this discussion.
Well, I knew you'd be watching, and by the same token.
No, I have many, many other things to
Yeah,
do.
well, by the same token, I would rather have discussion in public. I know.
Yes, you could have just asked me to step over here while I'm doing many of the other things I need to do.
I apologize for you for doing that. There have been a couple of times I've tried to, over the past 18 months, I've asked to try to meet with you and you've just given me a look without any kind of response.
No,
When we've
sir,
met-
you have
we've
never
met-
once emailed or called and asked to
we've met
set
in
up
the
a meeting
hallways.
with me.
Okay.
You have.
Do you
not.
want to address this matter?
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I would love
Okay,
to.
go
Ask
ahead.
me the question and I would love to. I mean, I had to go to the ladies' room. I had to turn in my timesheets. I had to go answer a bunch of emails. I had to call an architect. So if I was asked to come to this meeting to discuss one of my employees, I would be here. So now I'm here.
And again, I'm not
It's actually two
discussing your employees. I'm discussing positions.
Right.
Okay, well, he is my employee and it is a position in my office. So if you would like to move it, one of the reasons why it was put into my office is for checks and balances. So if there is a reason now to move it to the auditor's office, I'd be happy to discuss it. Was there a change into that thinking?
I think the position was initially under the auditor's office, and I believe a person was hired into that position. And then
No,
at a later point, decided to rescind her acceptance of that position. And the thinking I'm gathering is it's procurement and it makes more sense to be under the auditor's office. As far as checks and balances, the auditor's office is under the district judges, not under the commissioner's court. That is a check and balance on the system.
no, that definitely is. I don't know, Jackie, did someone get hired that I don't know about? Because maybe I don't know that anyone else was ever hired in the position.
I thought it was. I was looking. We had not hired anyone. We were working so closely with the county attorney, the assistant county attorney, is one reason that we felt like it would have worked there. It normally is in the county auditor's office, and I have said I have no problem with it coming back into our office. It has changed the direction that was intended, because the position was intended to not only do the procurements, and mainly the procurements for grants and the things that take a long time and that are very time sensitive. I mean, everybody follows the procurement and we make sure that everyone, knows what the procurement rules are. But the contract portion of it is the portion that I'm not seeing, as well as y'all are not seeing anything happen with. Just the interlocals themselves, things that aren't getting done. And that would be my goal, to make sure that some of that is addressed. And, maybe the discussion needs to happen with Amanda and knowing what the priorities are on some of it.
Seems like there's less than checks and balances with him under your office.
I don't know that I would agree with you on that one, but if part of the problem is that other departments are not taking the lead on certain things,
like relocating the courthouse, which is laid solely, for the most part, on our department, which really is not our job, and has taken away our ability to do other things such as interlocal agreements and procurement and things like that, then perhaps if what you actually want is more civil work done and you are looking at hiring another attorney, they need to be within our office. And if that's what you want, then that's what you can have. If you want another civil attorney to spend more time on these projects, then that's what you can have.
Would think that you would ascertain that the court is not happy with that situation, or we wouldn't be talking about it.
Isn't happy. Yes, but the solution isn't to take away people who spend 60 hours working for you a week because you're unhappy that they are taking on work and more work outside of their work duties to try and fix problems that other people are not fixing.
So you bring up the leases, and I appreciate the hard work
Yes,
with the leases.
the lease part is her job.
Right.
The other duties outside of actually reviewing and drafting the leases are not her job.
Whose job is that? Drafting the leases?
No, drafting the leases are her
Oh.
job. The other duties, going and finding the locations, finding the people who have properties to lease, that is not an attorney job.
Right. No, it's a team effort. It's a team effort, but I mean, I could have had a couple of people on these leases and they probably could have had them a month ago.
That's not actually how it works.
So they would get the leases and then it's going to end up in your office anyway. So I might as well cut the middleman out and let y'all take care of these leases. Because it was all, Eric's a contract specialist, so that's why that y'all are doing all this work.
Yeah, but it takes both sides of the equation.
Absolutely.
We send the lease out. We have to wait for them to send it back to us. Then we have to send it back to them. It's not like we just write a lease and it gets magically signed.
But it would have went to your office for you to say no or yay or whatever anyway, but I'm just, you just brought that issue up and that's not very fair because it is a team effort.
It is a team effort.
Yeah.
And so
if you feel like you're overworked because of that and you can't go over interlocals, that's what you're saying earlier?
no, I'm saying if you are upset that enough things are not getting done and you think that you need more civil work done, you have to understand that people in my office are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And so if you don't think enough is getting done, what do you think the solution is?
I believe your office brought something to the Commissioners Court asking to take over the search for space for the
No, we did
reallocation.
not. We asked for Judge Garza to have permission to look for space.
Okay. For Judge Garza to look for space or for you to look?
No, for Judge Garza to have permission to look for space, because that is what he needed to do to have authorization to look for space.
Because space was being sought beforehand. Our public facilities director was looking into the community to find some options for where we could relocate to bring to Commissioners Court so that we could figure out what would work for us.
Yes, Renee has done a lot of work.
And was ready to proceed. I believe, I could be incorrect, but I believe she was directed by your department to stop that search.
No.
Because it needed to be under your department.
No.
Well, then there was misunderstanding. Be that as it may, what I think we're talking about, maybe we're talking about a couple of different things. I certainly think having the contract specialist under the auditor's office is the place that position should be. We're not saying the person is or is not doing a bad job. We're talking about that position. That position would be better serving the community under the auditor's office. Your office would still have an opportunity to review any of the final contracts before we sign them here in court.
Well, he does work very closely with Adela on those projects. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't still work closely together no matter what department they worked in. But I am saying they do work very closely together on a daily basis. So
That's
no
what-
matter where he is located, they would continue to work closely together.
I hope
Yeah. hope so.
whoever is in that position would realize that if they're working for the auditor's department, they are working for the auditor.
But that doesn't negate what I just said. No matter who they work for or what department they work in,
Together with other staff members in the county, and that's a good thing. That's what
Yes.
we should all be doing.
just like Adela and I and everyone work very closely with Jackie and Tana. And that's just how we need to function.
Okay.
I brought this up. I want to make sure they both had, whoever's doing this work, both had the same priorities. And do you have I guess I'll ask you clearly because I cannot find out. Do you have an obligation to assist this commissioner's court?
Do I have an obligation under the Constitution? Yes, I have an obligation to answer your written questions, which honestly, none of you submit written questions to me.
That's
But
the first I've heard that you required written questions.
Yeah.
under the written law, that is my obligation. Since I've come into office, I've done my very best, barring a few times whenever I was understaffed, having someone present in person to answer questions. But my only obligation is to answer written questions.
Is it your department's obligation to do all the contracts and everything?
It is our duty to review the contracts. Yes.
I may be looking at this from a different aspect. My idea of a procurement specialist, which is what Commissioner Dubnik is talking about in this particular thing, would be to take it from a department head needing something or commissioner's court needing something, tell the procurement specialist to get us the bids and things like that you would need to start the procurement process. I think what we're really talking about is apples and elephants, because I don't see that having a procurement specialist, hopefully with a legal background in the position, would make a bit of difference. It's like with Renee's stand up in the back. It's like whenever she was needing the air conditioners and different things like that, then we were going through different grants and going that method. I think we needed to have the county attorney look at those grants, not saying that you didn't, not saying that you did. But whenever it come down to making the decision, I think should have been the procurement specialist should have been there, because he or she knows what we have in the budget to do it, how we can fund it and everything. And I don't think the county attorney necessarily needs to know all that stuff, except to know whether or not it's legal. Now, I don't know whether I'm looking at it the right way or not, but I've dealt with procurement specialists for a long time, and they procured. They looked at the contracts, they sent them to the attorney, let the attorney look at the contracts, and came back and they, with the governing board or their supervision, made the decision and they procured them. I don't know whether I'm looking at, I don't know that we're talking apples and elephants here or apples and apples, but that's procurement specialist in my opinion.
Right. But his job does have two parts. So it's not just the procurement part.
Well, what other part is there?
The contract specialist part. So that does require some specialized knowledge, which we've sent him to a lot of training to do.
Okay, well, I thought I said that it was separate anyway.
Contract specialist in procurement. Yeah, we've sent him to a lot of training, specialized training
No,
in order
I don't doubt that.
to complete that part of his knowledge.
Commissioner, if I could elaborate, we're actually missing a position. If you want to be frank about it, there's a procurement specialist contract developer. Eric does that job. There's a contract manager that's missing. Eric has taken over some parts of that job. We just got out of training for that in July. I know the auditors, a lot of them are also acting as contract managers. In a perfect world, they would all be coordinated in a well-oiled machine. But one thing you should consider is that our job descriptions for each of the departments actually has in there contract management. And to my knowledge, not a single department head has attended the comptroller's training on procurement, contract development, or contract management.
I'm not sure that the department head necessarily needs to be as up to date as what you are. And you're obviously very up to date on.
They should be because they're
Well,
criminal
but they're not
misdemeanors.
attorneys. And you've said that many times. They're not attorneys.
Correct.
They look at it, looks good to them. They send it to the attorneys or to Jackie, and then they do the prove it. I mean, I've read a lot of contracts, but whenever you got into something like the courthouse, there's no way in the world I could understand that. I'd understand what the first page was and it'd tell you what it's about. But I don't have hours and hours and hours to look at that. And David Reed or any of the department heads really, they need to know what they want in the contract, but they don't need to be experts on the contract.
And we should change their job descriptions because every single one of them has it in there
What?
that they are contract management.
They manage it, but they don't look at the contract. They don't run the contract.
If they never look at the contract, that's a problem. That
You actually have to see the scope of work in detail that's in the contract. And that's what my job is.
Right.
If I have control contracts within my equipment, that is my job to do. I doubt very seriously you nor Eric could do that. You are an attorney. I'm out in the field. I'm a facilities manager. That's what I do. Colin, he does the same thing. We're not trying to break the law. We're trying to do good for the county. And it states in our policies and procedures as such.
Renee, I would never accuse you of doing anything that's not in the best interest of the
Before we
county.
Move on. I wanted to address your statement. We weren't asked to stand down. We basically were told that. Get word for word here. We were told that we had to follow the procurement process. So that's where that took place. That's why we kind of stepped back.
Right.
El Morales and Colin and myself all looked for places. So.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to speak a little bit about department heads managing contracts. I have, I guess, 4 or 5 major contracts in my office. It is my job as the manager, as the county clerk, to make sure that I completely understand the scope of each contract, what is required of the county in each contract. I am not a contract specialist, but as a department head, if you have contracts in your office, you should know everything about them. Do I run every contract after I've looked at it and made changes with my representative prior to sending it to the county attorney's office? Absolutely. We should all be managing contracts. So their job is to look at the contract for legal ramifications. The county attorney's office should not be managing those contracts.
And I don't think Adele is disagreeing with that. She's just saying that everyone should have the proper training to make sure that you don't do something that you don't intend on doing. And that's why there is training through TAC and through the comptroller's office to make sure that everyone that handles contracts and can properly do that without having any ramifications they don't intend on doing.
I think that the initial, when Eric was originally hired, the main focus was to get copies of all of the contracts in one place, whether it be interlocal or others, and to organize them where they knew when they were coming up, because we were having contracts that were, they were due and we didn't know it. They were scattered around. And I think that was the main original
That was his
job that they were
first
supposed
priority.
to do, was to get them all in one place or copies of them where you knew when they were coming up.
Yes.
And
I would add that he has done a lot of that. One major obstacle has been departments have not turned them over when he has asked.
Well, that's when he needs to get with me and tell me that they aren't doing that.
Will do.
Well, this is the first I've heard.
Are we done?
Yes.
No, are we done?
Oh, are we done?
I'm just kind of personally, And just like Bob, I've done some inquiry on my own. I would like to have an attorney like Della to work directly for us and not the county attorney. It might be her, it might be somebody else. That's my preference. And,
As long as you all understand all of the ramifications that come with that.
right, and Commissioner Dupnick and I, at our last conference, conferred with an attorney that was knowledgeable and told him that you had said that we had a lot of liability by using an outside attorney. His response were, actually, it's the opposite of that, because
How much
lawyers-
money does he get paid to be people's outside counsel?
he doesn't get paid by us. I mean, and he wasn't asking for the job. Just
Okay, well, I don't have any personal liability if you guys make choices that are against the law. So I'm not opening myself up to any liability.
All right. And I agree with everything you said, Bob, in that letter. I agree, but I also have been working closely with Adela. She's doing a good job.
I'm not, and
Yeah,
I wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah.
This wasn't an attack on Adela's performance. And I want to make you.
I know that she's doing a good job.
She is. She's doing the best of her ability. I believe that.
Right.
And Bob, I'd be
really-
happy to meet with you if you schedule an appointment with me, because I understand that I am very busy and my face is my face. So if you say something to me and I give you a look, that is my face. So I won't apologize for that. It's not generally a smiling face.
And again, it's been proven in business that, because I've dealt with it in previous thing. Of course, this is different than county. I understand county's totally different. But when you have people working in a department and basically the person they report to has no direct accountability in the outcome of what happens to that department, it's not the best business practice. And I just, like to get this aligned where we had, these are two critical positions. I mean, the procurement specialist, contracts, that's a very critical position, and also having the legal advice is very critical. And I just think to get them in the same chain of command would be able to make things go smoother when you get to critical decisions or timelines and things like that.
Well, I am the one that gets to wake up in the middle of the night thinking about where we're all going to move.
I understand you don't take this lightly.
No, I
I
do not.
apologize if I came across like that, and I apologize for blindsiding you.
Well, I don't know that this is necessarily relevant to this conversation, but since you've mentioned that you need to get requests from the court in writing, that is the
No.
first I've heard of it. And this is
I
my
don't need to.
third
You-
and a half year
you-
being on court. That being said, I believe I asked about a week ago, possibly a week and a half ago, but I asked it in court in public, but I will send you a written request today by email to know what is the difference in the lease agreements that were approved and came out of your office prior to November of last year versus the lease agreements that we're trying to get out of your office for this year for the airport.
Okay.
I'm not looking for an answer right now because it's not on the agenda, but I've not forgotten that I made that request. I've not received a response, and I would like a response in public. So I will be sending you that email today.
You can. And just so you know, I didn't say I require a written request. You asked me what my obligation is, and under the law, that is my obligation to the Commissioner's Court. Obviously, we've gone above that obligation by coming in person very frequently and answering questions in person. So, thank you.
As I was saying earlier, Adela, you're doing a good job. You are. I mean, these contracts. How many pages is that courthouse contract?
A lot.
Yeah, 96, and you know it front and back. All right, anybody got anything else? Auditors, no? All right, motion or?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo. Aye. Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.